Audio Jungle.
The moment on my screen here. So that page is generated from within our system. I'll show you how. But in here, for each of the portal pages that we design for each hotel, we can generate this public link, which allows us to do things like testing. So while we were working with Eric, Mike, and the guys to design this portal page, we were using that public link to test it, to make sure that it works on lots of different mobile devices, and also so that everybody can go through the experience of that a customer will get while they're on site at a property. So it's pretty useful from a testing point of view if you want to rule out, something that's happening locally on the LAN or on the gateway. If you just want to test the portal, or show it to the guys on the front desk or the concierge team or IT locally, then this link, which will be available for each of the sites. In this example here, we're looking at the DERA test public link. You can just copy paste that into a window and it will take you through to the page here. So we have this as the master page that's been designed. So we have up front and up top, the guys have requested that we put in the Discovery login details. So you can sign up and you can log in using Discovery sign-in details, which is pretty cool. It does a real-time API lookup. So if we wanted to sign up, we get a different pop-up box that gives us these additional pieces of information that we've got to contribute. If I do type in my details here and then decide I want to sign up, it does carry across the email and the password across into these boxes to save some time. And when we do a sign up through this, it submits it to GHA, and each of the properties get their credits for generating sign-ups, I think there's a commercial incentive from GHA to drive sign-ups, which is obviously something we want to make sure is captured. So this is one login method. And then at the bottom here, we've got this virtual, this auto detect field. So it hides some of the complexity behind. But if we have a hotel that has a PMS login, we can type in room number, and it populates these, opens up these other fields. If it's an email address, then it opens up a different set of fields. Let's try on this one. Something's been disabled on that. And if we've got a voucher code, then it just opens up. It would populate just with the voucher code, which would be used for meetings. So those three options are available, and also we have social login. I think the decision that was made at Avani DERA was they've got some particular challenges with users outside or in the local area. So for this property, we've disabled the social login options, and also the email login options being taken out. You'll notice up the top right hand side here, we've got different language translations. So it's been decided again that we'll have the English, the Arabic, and the Thai across all locations. And if what we detect, one of these languages is the default on a device or on a mobile or on a browser language setting, then it'll automatically display the correct portal design that's set up, So again, that's pretty cool. It should make it much easier for our international travelers to select and get the right experience. So that's the guest experience that they're going to receive when this is deployed in your location. So it's an improvement if you've seen the V3. If you've seen the V3 design, this is much neater. I spent a lot of time bouncing backwards and forward with Eric, making sure we make it as seamless and as smooth as we possibly can. I did see a question come through about a login option without email for the room. And what the guys have requested, Eric has specified that he wants to capture these pieces of information with, all the PMS logins. So at the moment it's fixed, but you can raise that up through the chain of command up to Eric and the guys. But I think based on the conversations we've had so far they want it to be fixed. Okay, so ultimately that's where we're going to end up. There's different designs, right? The logo will be changed depending on the brand of the hotel, and also the background image will be changed depending on the brand of the hotel. All other elements of the portal design, the login journey, are fixed. Okay, so let's head back to what the portal looks like. So I'm going to use some part of our test system, but I also use the Avanidira site as a live login. And you'll notice this example here is Captivnet, but it's just a different brand that we have that we sell. It's the same platform, but this is demonstration data, sales system data, so it's not real customers. So I'll use this for some of the demonstrations, and where we need to see real data, I'll drop into Avanidira that were live since yesterday, so there's not an awful lot of data in there. But I'll also use another live customer site, a group called Generator Hostels, where we'll show some data. So as your sites go live, Marlon will arrange for registration, login details to be sent through, and you'll get access to this platform. It's accessed through a URL, and the URL for the minor hotel group will be this one here. So it will be genesiswifi.com/mint, M-I-N-T. And what we'll have is access to your group of hotels if you're responsible for more than one property, and you'll have a view like this. Or if you're responsible just for a single property, then your credentials will grant you access to the single property. And all of these widgets that you see on this front page here, they will change depending on the access or the visibility that you have. So in this example here, I've got access to the full domain, all properties, and I can see here we've got maybe 10 or 12 property locations that are displayed on a map here, which is pretty cool. Each of these screens can be tailored individually. So if I don't want to see the map, right, I'm not interested in seeing the map, I can turn that off for this particular view of this particular group of users, and it'll disappear. And equally, if I want to move things around, I can enable the map again. I can drag it up to the top, I click on save, and it'll show me the map. So it may be that you've got different types of users within the properties. Some may be the IT team, maybe you want to give this to some of the guest services team, then that is all possible. Question about IP addresses, yeah, I'll come on to that. So when we get down, you'll see here along the left of the side, there are navigation options. So we're going to cover off some of the system fundamentals, and when we get down to accounts and sessions, we'll be able to see IP address and MAC address details of devices that connect on our network. So just at a high level, I'll go through some of these widgets. You'll see we collect information. Some of it is technical, and some of it is non-technical information, right? And depending on how we have the system configured, the kind of information that we're collecting about the guest or the visitors on the network, we can present that on this dashboard. It's very flexible. So you'll see we can see the kind of active sessions that are taking place, what kind of devices are connecting, the types of login method that are being used. So on this domain, we've got PMS login and voucher or internet code. I think the guys at Minor use that terminology. So you can see in this example, most people are logging in using PMS. We collect information about bandwidth, and we can use that to generate trending information. And depending on the info that we're collecting, this is a bespoke, unique dashboard widget. We're pulling information from the PMS. So this is rate code information that we're renaming. So we could see the types of guest. Maybe it's a VIP status code, the types of guests that are connecting. Maybe we've got quality of service set up on the network. We want to see how much of each VLAN or QoS group is using. So this dashboard is very flexible. We're getting lots of information, and you can choose the kind of information that you're collecting. If you've got access to multiple properties, then you'll start to see them displayed, like this. We'll be able to see which properties are busy, which are the quieter properties, what's going on at each location at a particular time, whether it's throughput and bandwidth or sessions, or how many logins are taking place. And we've got different ways to display the information, right? We can do it in these tables, we can do it in this infographic format here, or we can do it in these donuts. It's a pretty useful, interesting information. Gives you a snapshot of what's going on at the property. And again, I have access to more than one property. It'll aggregate, pull all the information together. But if I have only one property or want to filter, then I can just click select the property here, and it'll redraw all of those graphs and details for me. So let me roll it back to be a full display. I won't spend too much time on this, but I'll give you a little bit of the background of the system, right? When you guys get it, it's going to be pretty much configured and ready to go for you. But let me just cover some of the fundamentals so you understand how it's put together. So it's designed to be really flexible, so it works in lots of different industries. We use something called tags to pull together different elements of the system. So today I'll give you a quick overview of something called the network, service tiers, which are the different types of user experience that we deliver, and portals, which we've seen the end result of the portal, but I'll show you how easy it is if we were making changes to edit those. So tags pull all of those elements together. So if something has a shared tag, so we need a shared tag between service tiers and portals, and we can use tags to make sure that portals, maybe of a different design, are delivered in different VLANs or in different areas of the hotel. So they're a really unique, useful and flexible way of setting up the system. We could, if we wanted to have a separate portal design on an access point, for example, and tag that access point. Access control is where we set up users. So if we've got different users within your teams and you want to grant access, then you'll be able to grant access and create accounts in here. You'll be able to set permissions that are similar to yours or below, but nothing higher. Right, so if you want to give access to somebody in the conference or events team, you can create a login details, set it to read only or to not display some of the more technical elements. So it's very simple and straightforward to do that. Plugins are how we add things like PayPal, credit card payments, SMS authentication for some locations might be required. So these are plugins that we use. Languages. We've defined the languages that we're going to use across the group with Miner. In this example, we've got a heap more. Let's have a look at the Mint setup. So under languages, we have English, Arabic, and Thai, which I showed you on the portal. And under each one, we get the option to translate all of these messages into the relevant language. So we'd welcome obviously any feedback. If you guys have been through and tested the portal and noticed that some of the translations are not quite correct or 100%, then we'd be able to change those through here. And this will work across all locations, right? So this is across the entire site. So very simple, straightforward to do the language management. Let me come back here. Which we're passing over to GHA. We're also doing some work with Eric and the guys to pass over some information to send in the CRM system. So if we're collecting email address or any kind of useful information that would be warranted by those guys, then we'll pass that over. But these guest data fields are unique, right? We can create new guest data fields and then use that data both in our marketing platform, but also just to store and to pass off to third-party systems. And that could be anything. So in this example, we've added on this domain some information about gender, right? If we're logging information from any of the social networks and we're picking up gender, we can store that. We can store anything, right? So here we put shoe size, just as an interesting example. We could be asking people about their experience. How is their experience in the hotel during their stay? Yeah, we could capture that and store it and use it later. Or as an example, we put in here a car registration number. Maybe it's a garage and you want to know what their registration number of their vehicle is. So all that information, these data fields, can be used, whether it is an email marketing message, maybe we're presenting a different login screen content or welcome screen, depending on the type of information we know about the customer. So all those data fields are valid and we can create them. Domain settings and site settings I won't really cover, they're not that important. Or reports, we talked briefly about how we can generate unique reports on that service dashboard at the front. And this example here, we've created a new dashboard and we're pulling in rate code information through the PMS. And what we're saying is, okay, well, if we get these rate codes coming through, we're going to use that information, store it in the system, and we're going to present it into dashboards on the front page. So we may start to see, as we connect more hotels up to the system, that we've got some information that would be useful, right? Do we want to see how many GHA members are connecting, or how many people on an executive rate code are connecting on the system? Then we could present that very easily in some dashboard widgets that we design in here. All of the dashboard widgets can also be distributed via a scheduling system. So an email could be scheduled, which I'll show you later, that could be sent to the management team every day, so that when they have their meeting, they can see, you know, what's been happening on the Wi-Fi, has everything been good yesterday, how many connections, that kind of thing. So all that's possible using things from the reporting module. So Manoj, I think you're struggling or saying that the speaking is not in sync with the display, so maybe I'll slow down a little bit, give it a chance to catch up. But I'm on a LAN connection here, so we should be okay. Let's have a look. So my connection's okay, so hopefully Skype will catch up as I go through. Notifications, we have something called webhooks that we can use. So maybe sometime in the future we may use this information, but we can choose to say, well, okay, well maybe when somebody's moving around the hotel, or for every registration, we may use the webhook to update the send-in CRM system. So it might fire off every time somebody registers, or each time somebody moves from a bedroom zone into an event zone or a public space. So it's just an example of the flexibility that we have. We can use these webhooks to fire off information to different third-party systems. I think that's probably it in terms of the settings of the system. So let's head back to the front page. And what I wanted to cover off really now is the fundamentals of the system and what you will see at your location. So, as I said before, we need three things pulled together to make sure we have a working location or a working solution. The first one is the network element. The second is the portal setup and design. And the third one is the service tiers. So let's have a look at the network first. So I'm going to head back into, this is the live minor domain. And in here at the moment, we have the test domain, and we also have Avani Dera, right? And what we have set up at Avani Dera, which will be the same for all locations, if I filter it by Avani Dera, within the network setup, we have two gateway appliances. So we have a managed MikroTik, which is this C2000, and we have the Dell server, right? So these two appliances will be connected up, and you'll see that they have a shared tag of the Avani Dera site. So we have these two appliances, the MAC addresses that will sit on the gateway network, and they're applied. So that's a big tick in the first box, and we've got it tagged, so it's the Avani Dera. The second thing that we need is a portal assigned to this location. So in the Avani Dera, we have three portals. We can see that two are disabled here, and we have one that is enabled. And I'll just quickly run through. You know, we name a portal, we choose which language is display, we choose whether we want to re-authenticate recurring guests. Now, I think they're still doing some testing at Avani Dera, so this isn't enabled, but this would be MAC-based authentication. If somebody's registered once, then they would automatically be reconnected without having to register again. So this would be turned on. Typically, when we're doing a design, we would make some decisions here. Through the portal design process, we choose which fonts we want to have. We choose the images that are relevant. So for you guys, it'll be uploading by our team the background image of the hotel. We choose the background color of the boxes, what we want the borders to be, you know, are they square corners, round corners? And then we get to a point where we have a visual representation of what the portal design is going to look like. So this will be completed for your properties, and you'll be able to demonstrate this to the IT guys. You can come in and see if anything's changed, and you've got those examples set up. All of these elements here are represented on the portal here. So if we make any changes, and I won't do it on the live site if I dive back across here into our demonstration system. And go into here. So we've got an example portal here. If I wanted to change some of the content that's on these pages, so we've got some welcome text. It opens up this content box, and you'll see these content boxes in numerous places across the site. But here we were looking at the welcome text, and it's this